tomorrow and in the coming weeks and days and years to keep protecting the citizens of the city of Milwaukee, to keep them safe. And to his family, our condolences. We are here to help him in any way that we can, but also please pray for our officers, wrap our arms around our family in blue. We need it. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And now come join us as we honor our brother and our fallen hero.
Please. So we have heard there from Chief Jeffrey Norman, and we have also heard from Mayor Cavalier Johnson on this tragic day here in Milwaukee, a day that none of us hoped would happen. We were hoping that we would have some good news after the situation. It looked as though, Sam, things were grave from the beginning, and now the worst has come, as you have heard, that Officer Kendall Corder has succumbed to his injuries after being ambushed Thursday night, shortly after 9 o'clock. His partner has been released from the hospital, Christopher McCrae. He is recovering at home.
Yeah, a few interesting things that Chief Norman said there. First off, if you notice the black bar across the badge there as he walks up, you're going to see that a lot as they prepare for this procession. A bar that, frankly, the Milwaukee Police Department has had to wear far too often just over the last few years. We've done some research on this, that they have lost 6 officers in the line of duty over the last almost nearly 7 years. That is Kendall Corder being the latest to that. And it is heartbreaking that they are so used to the honor that's about to happen. But it speaks to their dedication to the job and the realization that this is a family, as they mentioned, that he has his obviously blood family, but the extended family that is the men and women that make up this department and nearby departments. And
we heard this over and over, and undoubtedly we will hear this in the days to come. I wrote this down. Multiple people have said, we have lost somebody who loved his career. He loved being a part of, their words, Team MPD. He put on that uniform and wore that badge with honor, not as a way to feel big and superior and puffy, but to help the community that he grew up in, and loved being a part of this team.
And unfortunately, it's indicative in the incident that took his life. He and his partner were not working within that district. They are paged to the call because that they are the closest officers based on the MPD's priority system. They go in and they are looking to help somebody because of the call there, and unfortunately they are ambushed. He was doing what so many who wear this uniform, who wear this badge, swear an oath to do. That is run toward the danger. And unfortunately here, it cost him his life. And if we can, let's pull up the scene here at Froedtert Hospital as we are seeing some of the Milwaukee police officers and other law enforcement officers that are there giving this salute as they prepare to begin this procession from Froedtert Hospital all the way to the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's Office.
It is the ultimate sign of respect. It is final watch. It is just a reverent scene there where we see so many brothers in blue gathered to pay their respects, and that's exactly what Chief Jeffrey Norman is. They are there to honor their life, to honor his life. And they also, of course, are honoring the family. They're people who are left behind to pick up the pieces. The family has sent a statement thanking everybody for their prayers, their support, and they are asking that you continue to keep them in their prayers and their support as they continue to digest what has happened, to wrap their arms around exactly what happened. When you are married, or if you have a son or a daughter, when you're in this life and you see that person go off to work every day, you just hope that they come home. And their worst fears here are being obviously seen, that sadly, after that fateful night, that Kendall Corder is no longer going to be coming home.
And I want to share a profound message that they shared with our Durante Matthews, who has been following this story for us for the last couple of days. He's been in touch with some of the family members, and a message that they wanted to share with us last night was that if you get a phone call, get a text message, maybe it's a voicemail, maybe you missed a call from a family member that you haven't heard from in a while, take the call. Take the time to call them back and just have that connection, because you really do not know if that time that you share with them will be the last moment. And that was, it's saying it without saying it, right? That's that was their message last night. They felt that this was going a certain way. And I just think that is such grace, such gratitude for the moment, all the while that they are dealing with what is the worst imaginable heartbreak. But that is how that they are approaching this situation. And it's really touching, just given the loss that they have suffered here.
Absolutely. And, you know, there was some optimism there. His partner, as we said, has been released from the hospital, Christopher McRae, but he was taken to Froedtert after the incident on Thursday night, and they're a level 1 trauma, and you better believe they're the best of the best. So if anybody could do anything at all to save him, they would have done it. It was immediate there that he was taken. We saw the ambulance there going on Thursday night to Froedtert Hospital, and there's so much optimism. There were so many prayers and just this feeling that maybe he can pull through, maybe he can make this.
And if we can take this shot here full, as we're seeing some of the officers walk away, a lot of them wiping their eyes. So what has just happened is that they have loaded Officer Corder's body into the back of this ambulance that will proceed with police on motorcycles. We'll see fire engines lining this route again from Froedtert Hospital there in Wauwatosa all the way to the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's Office that's downtown at 9th and Highland. And it is moving. You see so many people here. This is a day that they dread. They never want to see someone maybe they went to the academy together. You know, they see each other on calls. They really just start to form a family when you wear that badge, when you serve in a department like this. That certainly they are feeling something today that your heart goes out to them.
Absolutely. And yeah, they are all in it together. There is a unifying bond there. And realize, you know, some of these people, there is still streets to patrol. There are still people who are on duty right now who can't make it. You better believe these are people who are on after their shift here, coming in on their day off, and they still have a job to do. That's the really tough part, is that, yes, right now they are honoring their fallen brother, but there is a job to do later tonight and a job to do tomorrow. There is no, we're just going to take the day off. And they do it with such honor and such valor. And you can see there, you can just feel through your screen, can't you? The heavy hearts, the reverence that they're being paid to their fallen brother, and the unity that they are all in this together, and really giving him the ultimate respect, and also sending a message to the family of Kendall Corder that we loved this guy and his legacy will be kept alive as somebody who loved to wear this uniform and this badge.
His family said he was born to be a police officer. He had that dedication of service, and he wanted to be a positive influence, have a positive impact as somebody that does this job. I also, as we looked over there to the right in those squads, as some of the people were starting to load into them, I noticed the police department chaplain. Actually, there he is right there with the polo and pants. That's George Papachristou. He is always called into service whenever officers deal with anything tragic. Maybe, you know, they're involved in a shooting where they take someone's life. Maybe something like this happens when their partner on the job loses their life. It is his job to provide that sort of spiritual care, that support to the officers, to their coworkers, the sergeants, what have you. I cannot imagine the number of calls and texts he has taken just since Thursday about a department that frankly needs support when something like this happens.
And he is beloved. He is really always there in time of need. And, as a man of faith, he certainly has to compartmentalize and bring the comfort that is needed. But you can imagine the sorrow that he is facing right now. It has been a violent summer in Milwaukee. And so we were hoping that this trend may calm, may squelch. And here we go. While we're waiting for this press conference or the procession to begin, and we're getting more information, let's keep an eye on this, but take you back to Thursday night, right around 9 o'clock, about 9:10, reports came in of shots fired at 25th and Garfield, 2 officers down. We saw the officers rush there to Froedtert Hospital, and we were given very little information, but we did find out as the night progressed that these officers were ambushed. They were responding to a weapons call, and it said immediately after they stepped out of their squad, they were unexpectedly shot in an alley. They were unable to return fire. That's how fast this happened. And we have learned, obviously, that that one of the officers, obviously, Mr. Corder, sustained some very serious injuries, while his partner, Christopher McCrae, seemed to be doing, obviously, better right from the get-go. We see that procession kind of starting the motorcycle police. They're always leading the way, as we've seen many processions here over the year, but that is kind of started here with this procession route. Eventually, when we do have an opportunity, we'll put up that procession route, the exit, the beginning and the exit of it. But you can see here, though, the streets will be cleared, and the officers there that have gathered, so many officers there, will be following this procession.
Yeah, I've got the information right in front of me. So again, they are leaving the Milwaukee County Regional Medical Center complex, that is where Froedtert and Children's are in Wauwatosa, heading east on Connell. They're going to take their freeway at Watertown Plank on 4145 south, and they will stay right at the I-41-94 split for 94 eastbound as they're getting on a Watertown Plank here right now. Once they get onto 94 eastbound, they will continue, get off at James Lovell Avenue, continue northbound on Lovell, head westbound on State, and then right there at 9th. Again, the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's Office is at 9th and Highland, just blocks from the courthouse there, as this entire procession rolls out from Froedtert Hospital.
And you can see there the caravan, and this will continue to go from officers from our area. And oftentimes, if available, Sam will see people from other officers from other counties, other jurisdictions, of course. Many officers who are not working today that just want to come be present. They want to lend their support, because truly nobody can understand what they're going through except for the men that you're looking at right now. And they need that more than ever, because again, their jobs still have to go on, but you can imagine the heavy hearts that they're feeling, particularly because so many were just clinging to any chance at all that he may pull through this.
And again, it was just yesterday that his partner, Christopher McCrae, was released from the hospital. We were there. He's rolled out in a wheelchair with just the biggest beaming smile on his face. And imagine, if you will, the juxtaposition in emotion for all of the men and women that are waiting for him outside there. So glad that Officer McCrae comes through, but by gosh, hoping with all the optimism in the world that Officer Corder would join him. I think a lot of people were just hoping and praying, knowing that he was in critical and grave condition. That's not a solid prognosis. But it has just been a gut-wrenching weekend, not just for the Milwaukee Police Department, but frankly for anyone who wears this badge that's part of this family, because of how sobering, how humanizing this position becomes when a critical incident like this occurs.
Yeah, and this is the last scene that every time we see one of these, we think this will be the last one. We will get the message as a community about peace. And we heard Mayor Cavalier Johnson, as well as Chief Jeffrey Norman, calling for peace earlier. When we've had so many, June 6th, we had a number of dramatic and violent instances starting to happen right around 45th, and there were a few fatalities, but there were also just several shootings. And it's, again, not even 20 days later that we are seeing that uptick in violence. We had hoped that this may be more of a peaceful summer. Community would come together. The officials have urged, begged, pleaded, if you will, for people to speak up about violence and about guns. In fact, when we had a press conference on Thursday, we heard the associate chief of police there, assistant chief of police, saying there are just too many guns on the streets. And she was urging people to please, if you know anything at all, to give a call if you know somebody who's got a gun that shouldn't. It was Assistant Police Chief Nicole Waldner said that there are just too many guns on the street. She said, I can put an officer on every block here in this area that we are near 25th and Garfield. And she said, her words, I quote, there are more guns and more people with guns than I have officers to deploy to keep these areas safe. Mm-hmm.
And don't forget, there was another shooting involving police in which Officer Sam Schwabenlander was hit in the calf. That was 46th and Hampton, and was released just within the last couple of weeks too. So they've had these scares already. Within the last several weeks, and for this to happen again, they hope it never happens And the reality is that it's happened frequently, just within the last few years. And so this is a different look now. This is outside the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's office. So we're looking southbound here, where the fire engines there, the ladder trucks are hoisting the American flag. And you'll notice the street is lined with police officers, with detectives, sergeants. Every rank is going to be involved in this. And it's just a couple blocks from the police department's administration building there downtown. And this is a powerful scene. It's all about honoring the sacrifice of Officer Kendall Corder. You'll see eventually this procession here pull in to the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's office, where they will, kind of perform the autopsy and, do the analysis required for his passing. But they being the police department family, really abroad, want to be with him the entire way, from the hospital all the way here.
It is such a reverent scene. Again, if we can take that full, it's one you never want to see, but it is such a reverent scene. We are following, as you can see right there, the procession for the fallen officer, and that's the route that it will take. As Sam had mentioned there, it will be eastbound on West Connell Avenue, taking a left on North 87th, west on West Watertown Plank Road, entering intersection 4145. They'll go right there, and then they'll stay right on 4194, the split on 94 eastbound, as you see there. And eventually they're going to continue northbound on James Lovell.
Yeah, so they're on 41 right now, 4194, where they're going to turn right. Yeah, this is the Blue Mound camera. And so they are going to make their way right to go what would be east. So in this case, the way we're looking, they're going to go screen right here, but as you see there, it's just slowly coming along. And how this works, and actually you can even see in the top right corner of your screen that there are more emergency vehicles on that bridge there. And so how this works is other neighboring law enforcement agencies are involved. They help block off access and exit points to the freeway so that this is an empty drive. You see on the other side, people are coming across, and having covered a number of these, unfortunately, is you hear from people that are headed the opposite direction saying either they had no idea or they just found out, and it's so powerful to see the honor on the other side.
It really is. You'll see cars pulled over.
Yeah.
You'll see cars pulled over, and sadly, I remember in the last one, Sam, there was a family, and we interviewed them, and they said, we want our children to respect what these officers do. They stopped and saluted. It was heartbreaking.
It's Officer Peter Jerving.
Yes, it was just such a sobering moment, but if you will, a teachable moment about the heroism, the integrity, the selfless acts, and the way that they put themselves on the front line to protect everyday people and keep the streets, keep the roads safe. And we may even see some people coming out here, just people of the community, just to pay their respects here as we take a split screen there.
Yeah, I mean, what we'll see is they don't just pull over. A lot of times people will bring flags, they'll bring signs. If anything, they'll just give a salute as that procession passes by, which speaks to really the recognition of what it takes to do this job. And you think about it, they go to work every day, but going to work every day is different for them compared to a lot of other people, right? There is a known threat, perhaps. With this job, you take the call, you don't know where the call is going to send you, but you go. And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, it maybe takes something like this for them to recognize and admire that level of dedication.
And there's so much training that goes into this, into their jobs, how to respond to the peril, how to respond in situations where you have literally seconds to respond. And perhaps the ultimate tragedy here is they didn't have a chance to respond.
Yeah.
Kendall Corder and Christopher McCrae were ambushed on Thursday night just after 9 o'clock. The second that they stepped out of that squad, they had no chance to return fire. It was an absolute ambush. And sadly, this is the result some 3-4 days later here where we were looking at this tribute.
And there are pictures that we're looking at the top right corner here that family have sent to us with permission to use. We talked about the unfortunate experience that the Milwaukee Police Department has with these processions, with losing officers in the line of duty. 1996, they lost Wendolyn Tanner. From then, they had no line of duty deaths for nearly 20 years until Charles Irvine Jr., Officer Irvine, died in June of 2018. Michael Mahalski shortly after him in July of 18. Officer Matthew Rittner in February of 2019. Then Mark Lentz passed away years after complications from his line of duty injury in 2019. And again, Officer Peter Jerving passed in February of 2023. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is now the 7th. Officer Kendall Corder, 7, just within the last 6 or so years. And we know that just weighs on everyone that's involved in these departments. It's not just the officers, the lieutenants, the detectives, the sergeants, the captains, the corporals, what have you. It's the dispatchers. It's the clerical staff. It's the people that are there, evidence technicians, that maybe aren't so public-facing, but they interact with these people. And to lose a member of your family in this way, it's just heartbreaking. And the frequency with which that it has happened, just again, over the last few years, it's a hard time for this department right now.
You make such a good point, Sam, because again, 4 officers have now been shot in the line of duty in the past 5 months here in our community. 3 of them, 3 in the last 2 weeks, speaking to the uptick in violence. And these guys still got to go out there and they still have to do their jobs. And as we had heard even just the other day from Police Chief, Assistant Police Chief Nicole Waldner, saying that we are still looking for people. We are facing staffing issues. We are still trying to recruit. We still need officers on the street. And so these are the challenges that they face. Let's take a look at the procession here as we continue to look at
this
the
is on
scene
I-94
near American Family Field there.
So they're headed eastbound now, halfway about, again, from between Froedtert Hospital and the Milwaukee County Regional Medical Center complex in Wauwatosa, all the way east to downtown Milwaukee, where they're headed to 9th and Highland, the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's Office. And again, you kind of see traffic slowing down a little bit on the opposite side. That's the westbound traffic, which again, as we've talked to, this is what happens, right? People either unaware that this is happening or are just traveling through regardless, and they see something like this and they want to pay the proper respect. And it's really powerful to see.
Yeah. And we were just hearing here, there's officers also on the other side, a huge showing of support, not only from Milwaukee Police Department, but obviously other officers you can see there from neighboring communities. As we look here to that reverence scene where the flag is hoisted, just the ultimate symbol of a life well served, a uniform well served. But now the sad day has come where end of watch is being recognized and on the way. And as we look at this scene, we got a really emotional message about 5:30 this afternoon, just about an hour ago, from the Milwaukee Police Association, just saying here that they were grateful for the outpouring of prayers and support from the community. And they really remarked on the compassion that has really been a source of strength for Officer Corder's loved ones and his fellow officers. And they're saying they are grieving the tragic loss. However, they're renewing their commitment to fight for the safety and well-being of the men and the women who stand on the front lines, not today, not tomorrow, not next week, but every single day, to protect all of us. And they go on to say they are wrapping their arms around his family, of course, friends, and all those who wear the badge and the uniform so boldly and so bravely.
Yeah, and there was a lot of, I think, wondering and questions. Had Officer Corder succumbed to his injuries a couple of days ago. A lot of chatter on this on social media, and I think people got too far ahead. And the reason that the Milwaukee Police Association and the Milwaukee Police Department are so concerned about that is, one, they don't want to provide what would be misinformation. Mm-hmm. Two, the end of watch is critical here because it sets off the process that we are witnessing live right now. In a couple days from now, there will be that final radio call from the dispatcher when Officer Corder was laid to rest. But it really starts here with the announcement of his passing and the immediate procession from the hospital, from Froedtert Hospital to the medical examiner's office. They want to provide that proper respect, and part of that includes just being patient. And so a lot of chatter on that this weekend. And in fact, this morning, the Milwaukee Police Association said no, he is still on life support, hadn't passed yet. Of course, that has changed now.
Yeah, and you can see there on that crawl underneath our coverage there that the person suspected of shooting both the officers has been detained. He has been arrested. And it's just, it's such a sad time when you, Sam, you mentioned that call, when you get that call from dispatch, when we hear that call end of watch, it is so reverent. We all dread it, but when you said that, I just got goosebumps. It's such a sobering and sombering moment that things have come to an end, and your heart just goes out to his family. And let's not forget about his partner, Christopher McCray, who is obviously still recovering at home from this, was released from the hospital, but the emotional toll, the emotional scars that he will live with for the rest of his life because of this traumatic incident, seeing somebody that he was so close to be shot and him stepping out of that squad and being ambushed, something you're never going to get over, and no matter how much support or matter how much counseling you have. And there will be people on standby, as you mentioned, the chaplain, of course, but also faith leaders, community members to help him through, and his fellow officers through this very tragic event.
Yeah, it is incredibly humanizing. It is incredibly sobering, and I'm glad you brought up Officer McCray because the information released from the Police Association was that he was shot in the foot. Required surgery and was released, but there was video that we saw that we haven't used, but we saw of Officer McCray pleading with Officer Corder to just make it through.
Make it through.
And seeing that, it is perhaps the starkest reminder I've ever seen in the years I've been doing this job that these are men and women that just show up to do their work. And that is his partner right there, and just been shot several times, and it is all unfolding in seconds. They don't have the time to pull their weapons to fire back. They are really just responding to a weapons call in the neighborhood again near 25th and Garfield as we again await. You're looking live here at the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's office as one motorcycle officer is pulling in there. Not sure. Okay, this could be the arrival here downtown as we're taking a look at this here. But it is just heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking.
To have to endure this for the members of this department, and especially family members that just say those prayers every single day when they leave that they're going to come back and come home safely.
And we see there the procession continuing on, and we're reminded of the words from Police Chief Jeffrey Norman that what makes this so, every part of this is sad, but the fact that this was a young man, 32 years old, who had just over 6 years of experience on the job and loved being a police officer, loved his job. He wasn't doing it for the glory, he wasn't doing it for the recognition. This was in his heart, something that he really, really wanted to do, and did it with vigor and did it with dignity. And to see his life cut so short, you wonder what was ahead for him, what his plans were, what were his dreams, what were his hopes, and how proud his family must have been. Oh, I bet they bragged on him every chance that they got.
So this is a look at James Lovell Street. Now we are looking at 9th. So they're turning past District 1 and turning in onto State, and then turning northbound onto 9th to pull into the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's office. Again, that's the ambulance that is carrying Officer Kendall Corder's body. And you see the salutes there on the left and right sides as this pulls in to the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's office.
Yeah, look at the line. If we look on the screen right now, it's 2 as you're facing the screen there to the left, and the salutes. You just want to catch your breath.
Yeah.
The salutes and the respect to this young man who wore this uniform so bravely and will not be coming home. It's got to be moving to his family as we see there. And you see, Sam, you can see
Yep.
for example, the gentleman in the white T-shirt. Many people who are just coming in on their off day, who have heard this news, maybe just left an event. Let's just give this a moment and let's take this all in as we see this ambulance arrive at 9th and Highland. As we continue to bring you this coverage and look at the scene here, Sam, we see a number of officers there in rank. After the ambulance now we have seen has arrived there at 9th and Highland, walking in solidarity. Officers from the, looks like Chief Aaron
That's
Lipsky.
Fire Chief, yep.
Yep, Aaron Lipsky right behind there. Officers, firefighters, and just the reverence then that we have seen following, which is protocol, but still following the ambulance.
Yeah, and so we are going to return you back to normal programming. We are going to get all of our elements together. We'll have more coverage, again, on the death of Milwaukee police officer Kendall Corder in this procession coming up tonight on Fox 6 News at 9 and 10. We'll see you then.